Hello, my name is Mary Copeland and welcome to The Road Ahead. Through a series of guests, we are going to help you navigate your own road ahead as you age. We will help you prepare for your journey and that of your aging parents too. I am the publisher of Compass and Clock, and my goal is to provide you with tools and resources well in advance. Nobody wants to find themselves in a crisis mode simply because they didn't have access to information. So together, let's help you achieve your best future. Today's guest is Tony Hinson. He is an elder law and an estate planning attorney. Tony practices in Poulsbo, and he has 24 years in active, let me see if I'm saying this right. Tony has 24 years of active and reserve duty in the US Navy JAG Corps.
Perfect.
Okay. And when Tony retired from active duty, he worked for the IRS as an attorney for 8 years. So Tony is here with us today, and he's extremely well versed when it pertains to the Veterans Aid and Attendance Program, which is highly underutilized in the United States. And I'm very passionate about making sure that folks know what this program is and how they can learn about it. So Tony, thank you for joining me today.
It's an honor to be here with you, Mary Jane. It's also a passion of mine. This program is underutilized in general, and it's great to be able to get the word out to our local veterans.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you for your service, and thank you for your service out there. So why don't we give our viewers a short description of what the Veterans Aid and Attendance Program actually is?
Absolutely. It's one of the little-known programs in the VA system of benefits to veterans. It actually is one of the oldest federal programs in existence. It goes all the way back to the early 1800s. It was initially designed to compensate the veterans who had served, believe it or not, in the Revolutionary War. And in one form or another, this program has continued on to the present day. Its overall goal is to make sure that veterans who have served during a wartime period, who have a disability later in life, have a basic income and basic support in recognition of their service.
And when you say disability, it's not necessarily a disability. It could be, as we age, we need help with our ADLs, which are activities of daily living.
Absolutely.
Correct.
There's some other qualifications. If you're living in a nursing home, you may be qualified for this benefit. In addition to the basic pension benefit, there are two programs called Aid and Attendance, which you referenced, and then a program called Homebound, which serve to increase the amount of the pension due to the eligible veteran.
Okay. So there's a program designed out there to help with financial compensation when there's a gap, when you can't afford the care that you need. And since we talk a lot about long-term care as we age, how does somebody know if they're even eligible for this program if they didn't even know it existed? Where do they even start?
That's a great question. Really, the best way to find out about it, believe it or not, is the VA website. I've been to the Veterans Administration website many times. It's one of the more helpful, well laid out government websites out there. There are specific pages devoted to the basic pension. There are specific pages devoted to aid and attendance, and then homebound. In addition, there are a number of veterans organizations in the area, the DAV, VFW, AMVETS, who are standing ready to assist veterans to find out if they qualify, and if they do, we'll actually help them with the initial application.
So how does somebody know the eligibility dates? I know in the Compass and Clock magazine there is always an issue in there about the Veterans Aid and Attendance Program, and sometimes there's updates to the program. Like, wasn't there a recent change last October about a look-back period?
There was. And when it comes to eligibility, one common misconception, it's known as a wartime pension.
Okay.
And so a lot of veterans believe that they need to have served in a combat zone or otherwise been involved in a combat operation to be eligible. And nothing could be further from the truth. In actuality, they needed to have served essentially during the World War II period up until around 1946, in the Korean War period up until around 1955, during the Vietnam era, which is roughly 1961 to 1975, or during the Persian Gulf War era, which, believe it or not, started in 1990 and runs to the present day.
Okay.
You need 1 day on active duty during that period and essentially 90 days of active duty in total.
And active duty is just a status of, you know, how you are in categorized, I guess I would say. It doesn't mean that you are literally boots on the ground out there in the war zone. You are just, your status says active duty, and you might not have gotten out there yet.
Absolutely.
Correct?
You could have spent your entire tour in Bremerton, right here on the naval base.
Okay.
But if that tour coincided with one of these periods of wartime service, then you meet that eligibility standard for the pension.
As active duty, not reserve.
Well, if you're a reservist and you're recalled to active duty for an extended time, then you would qualify as well. A lot of reserve people in the 70s and 80s didn't have a lot of active duty accrued, but folks really since 1990 or so, the reservists tend to do a lot of active duty. And that's one area where sitting down with the Veterans Organization, they can look at your DD-214s, which is the document we receive when we leave active duty, and let the veteran know if and when they qualify.
And what I hear about the DD-2, don't lose it. Keep it in a safe place. You'll always want to have that document handy.
Absolutely.
So the Veterans Aid and Attendance Program, though, isn't just for the veteran themselves. My understanding is spouses could be eligible. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And a married couple with a veteran, actually, if the veteran is married and has a spouse, the benefit will increase accordingly. And if there are adult children that are dependent on that veteran, then the benefit increases again. So the benefit itself is flexible and adapts to the family situation. In addition, if the spouse was married to the veteran at the time of the veteran's passing and the veteran was eligible for veteran's pension, then the spouse can be eligible as well.
Now there's criteria for that, though, I think, isn't it? They had to have been married at least 10 years, and the spouse can't be remarried at the time that she's applying or he's applying?
There are some qualifications, and unfortunately this is one of those programs that does not allow for a subsequent remarriage and eligibility for the benefit.
Okay. So there was another question that I had on my mind. Do you understand why or have any background into this? There's 22 million veterans in the United States, and a fraction of them utilize this program, about 122,000. Why don't the veterans know about this, or is it too difficult to navigate so they just give up?
You know, it's a combination of factors. One thing, it's not well known. It's not well publicized by the VA. Most veterans know about service-connected disabilities. You go through a VA examination upon leaving active duty, and you've got certain ailments, certain things wrong with you, and those get rated, and you're compensated for those. That program is pretty well utilized, and it's well publicized by the VA. The aid and attendance, homebound, and pension really is not well known and not really well publicized by the VA. The other issue is most people that qualify for this don't qualify for a military pension. They maybe didn't serve the full 20 years. And particularly with the World War II and the Korea generation, I've noted in my practice that those folks are less likely to apply for benefits because they don't feel like they've earned them. And if I can say one thing today, if you served on active duty and you did your time, you've earned this benefit.
Wow, that's powerful words. I was thinking about, we have an article usually, not usually, every issue of Compass and Clock has an article. Can you, I don't want to read the article, but, and they should read it another time, can you just give us an example? Like, you know, a veteran applies, this is their household income, et cetera. Can you just walk us through, like, mathematically, so somebody understands how it works?
Absolutely. The big limits to know about are the annual income limit is approximately $26,000. If you're over that limit, then that may...
Combined or?
Combined, for a couple, or single income if the veteran is not married. There are quite a few deductions that are allowed from your income to get you down below that $26,000 point, the most important of which is, of course, medical expenses. And a lot of people that apply for this benefit have a lot of medical expenses going on. The other qualification point are total assets. And in general, you can't have more than about $123,000 worth of assets that does not include your home. So those two criterion are kind of the first gates to get over, the below $26,000 a year of income and below $123,000 in assets. And then based upon your income level, The pension is designed ultimately to get you up to that $26,000 benefit level. So the pension itself is flexible in that it will be added to your current income to get you up to that $26,000 level.
So somebody hits the criteria and they're allotted, there's a ceiling of how much that they can get. As you were saying, as a veteran or a veteran and a spouse or kids, etc. But I understand that they don't get all of it if it's not necessary and it covers the shortfall. Am I understanding that properly?
Correct. It covers the shortfall between that $26,000 base level, and that's adjusted every year. And of course, it increases a bit with inflation, and what their actual income is, again, after deducting medical expenses. So it's designed to get the couple up to that $26,000 point. There's also some limitations. If you're a single veteran, you may not be entitled to the full benefits. So there's a lot of complicated math that goes into it, and that's where the help of a veteran service organization is extremely helpful to a veteran to navigate that.
But the goal for the program is that it's designed to help the veterans or their surviving spouse or children cover that gap for their cost of living for long-term care.
Absolutely.
Correct?
There's a public policy in place that we do not want wartime veterans to be living in poverty, and this program is designed to lift folks out if they find themselves in that situation.
So we're almost out of time. Can you tell the viewers, are there any parting words? How would, what kind of advice would you give them? How to find out about the program, if they're eligible, etc.? What would you want to tell them?
I just want to reiterate one thing. If you are a wartime veteran, if you served during one of these qualifying periods, please take advantage of this program, particularly if you're an older veteran and you've got disability issues or you're living in a nursing home. A lot of people don't feel that they're entitled to these veteran services, and like I said before, Mary, nothing could be further from the truth. Again, if you want to make an application, place to start would be the VA website. It's extremely informative. There are multiple pages. There are downloadable files. They have Adobe files and Word files, so you can download information and read it at your own leisure. And then finally, take advantage of the veteran service organizations out there, such as DAV, VFW, or AMVETS. Those folks are standing by, and their passion is to serve their fellow veterans in applying for benefits to which they may be entitled.
And like Medicare, it can be overwhelming. So definitely reaching out to the professionals that are well versed in how the program runs and how to fill out the paperwork properly and how to submit it. You want to get the help of other people. I wouldn't recommend trying it on your own. Would you say?
Totally agree. These veteran service organizations are out there, and that's what they do. They know the personality of the reviewers. They've got the inside track really to get these applications approved.
Yeah, and it can take up to 12 months. But from the date that you started the process, once you get approved, it becomes retroactive back to that date, correct? Okay. We're about out of time. Thank you for educating all of us on the program.
Thanks again, Mary.
In the Compass and Clock magazine, there is a eligibility box that will tell you the wartime dates that would make you eligible, and I'll try to provide that information to the folks here. Otherwise, just go online and you'll find those dates. Thank you so much for a few moments of your time today, and again, for those of you that have served or are currently serving, thank you. Have a great day.